Hello and welcome back to The Drag Detective, where today we are going to be going over my 5 favorite and 5 least favorite aspects of season 17 as we come to an end. This has been a crazy season to cover. Obviously, I have some stake in the game with having a Cleveland queen on who's made it all the way to the end and is sitting there with a huge shot of winning, which is so exciting. And if you would have asked me 5 weeks ago, I would have said this is my favorite season of the new era, of the MTV era. I even preferred it to season 16. But now, I feel like this season didn't have as good of a finish as it did for the first, 2/3 of it. And obviously, we'll see how this finale goes, but it's definitely dropped off maybe a little bit. And I do think season 16 is better. So we do have a lot of positives to talk about, but we also do have some negatives. So we're going to go through the 5 best, the 5 worst, talk about what made them great or what made them bad, and just talk about the season as a whole. I'm releasing this the day of the finale, so make sure you comment who you want to win this season down below, and we'll see if you were right. Now, let's start off with one of the best things of this season. At number 5, I'm putting the promo. This promo was amazing. Everything. And obviously now we know they were trying to riff on the water tank and how water would be a motif on the season. And I'm shocked they haven't done this theme before because it just seems like a no-brainer. The looks themselves, I feel like the girls got a budget this season for their promos because these looks were crazy. Sam Stars was amazing, Susie Toots was amazing, Lexi Love took a huge risk that fully paid off. I mean, I feel like nobody looked bad. Everyone had a really, really fun look, and the production value of this promo is just crazy. The studio, the waterfall, the fact that they all got their outfits completely sopping wet playing in this water. I'm sure they told them ahead of time, hey, just so you know, don't pick any material that's gonna disintegrate in the water or completely fall apart. And then there's Lexi Love, who's probably was in there for 5 minutes before she was completely naked. But everything about this promo was giving epic, it was giving grand, and it really showed off how great this cast really is. So as far as Drag Race promos go, this has to be up there. Especially compared to last year's, which was I feel like Warfare or something with the looks, but then they kind of had to pivot. And then they did I don't know, MTV Static. It was very strange. And I feel like, World Events obviously maybe changed what they exactly wanted for that promo, but it was very weird, very disjointed. Season 15 had a very back to basics promo, we're just gonna do Drag Race looks. So I feel like the last 2 have been whatever. This was a fantastic promo. And it really just started the season off correct. Now, number 5 on my worst section, some of you could call this a cop-out. You could say, that doesn't really matter. But to me, I think it's something that makes or breaks a season and, how much I'm caring about it. And it is, RuPaul really wasn't invested in this season. There's always some seasons that RuPaul is just, extra obsessed with. I think about season 12. I think about season 14. I think about, UK 6. All-Star 6, and those are really, really, really great seasons because RuPaul is so invested and is constantly joking with the queens and giving one-liners, and I feel like it just adds so much when RuPaul is at the top of her game. But I mean, this is a woman in her 60s. She's not always going to be vibing super hard with what's going on. And to me, this season RuPaul was just kind of checked out. Even Anya, I could tell that RuPaul loved her, but I feel in other seasons, she would have been, living for Anya. Or even Corey. And we did get some moments RuPaul going and getting Corey's shoe from her station. RuPaul definitely did have some moments, but it wasn't consistent. And especially in the judging and things like that, it just felt like RuPaul was kind of checked out for some of this season. And to me, I just have more fun with the season when RuPaul is getting her life. So it kind of just was oh, that's sad that RuPaul isn't vibing. And it's missing that just kind of spark that those seasons that RuPaul is living for have. So that's my number 5. Maybe it's a cop-out, but for me, it's something that I look at in my favorite seasons. My number 4 favorite thing on this season is the premiere format. I feel like they completely got the format down for how to do the Raid a Queen without it being annoying and without it being like disruptive, and to have everyone still involved. Because I feel like people are a little bit over the split premieres at this point. They want to see the cast as a whole come together right off the bat and interact. And this year they managed to do the Raid a Queen, but they had it so that one group would like rate the other group and then vice versa. And then the bottom one from each group would then lip sync for their lives in the second episode. And I just feel like that was like perfect. You know what I mean? Like the way that like one bottom from each went on to the lip sync, we got to see them all react to the rankings. They like revealed the rankings again, which was great. And specifically who voted for who, which is like really what everyone wants to see. Plus we got a lip sync in each episode, you know, the top 2 lip syncs. So it felt like everyone got their time in the spotlight. We got to see the queens all come and interact together as a group. And it was just a really fun premiere until my number 4 negative, which is the Badonka Dunk twist. And this could have been way higher. Like, I feel like this could have been as bad as the chocolate, which went all the way to final 7, I believe. Every week, someone just saying, want, it's chocolate, and waiting every single week for someone to get the gold bar while having multiple double saves throughout the season. It was just so boring. And this obviously could have been much, much worse because basically like 5 episodes in, it's over, which was shocking to me because I thought we were going to be in for a whole season of watching Michelle get dunked. But we only saw a couple queens actually get to pull the levers. My issue is the first episode, it gets used with Hormona Lisa getting to stay, which I was actually fine with in the end because I love Hormona Lisa and she was so fun on the season. But like, it was just kind of like anticlimactic when we have a really, really bad lip sync between Acacia and Hormona to Yes and then Hormona, you know, gets to stay despite like not serving in the challenge or in the lip sync. It's just kind of like, okay, it's like a freebie, and you could tell the queens were annoyed, obviously. But it did work fine with Ariete getting to stay later in the season because we would have missed many great Ariete moments if she had left when she originally did. But I feel like it didn't need 2 people to return. I feel like 1 would have been great, and then just give us a regular double Shantae on the season somewhere else, rather than, you know, 2 queens getting saved within 5 episodes, which was both a lot and also a like, whew, okay, like it's over with, we don't have to worry about it anymore. Was it cute to see Michelle in her little cute swimsuits getting dunked every week? Yes, that was fun. Was it fun when Michelle brought them all back to get dunked, like get her revenge and dunk them herself? Yes, that was fun, but I just don't think it was the most exciting twist, and I don't think that the show needed it. I really don't think the show needs something like this. It's mostly just there to pad out these 16 episodes and ensure that the queens aren't going home every single week, but I feel like there's still another way to do that that is better than the Badonka Dunk or the chocolate bar. Now, my number 3 favorite thing about this season is kind of like an all-encompassing topic, but it's one that I think really helped make the season what it was, and always is a like make or break thing for a season, and it is the cast. This cast of 14 queens was incredible. From the first out, Lucky Stars is just like, the fact that Lucky was a first out is crazy. Joella brought us so many incredible memeable moments and is the Salesian diva. Hormona Lisa was so fun to watch. She had her little rivalries with Corey King. She was so funny in the confessional. Her Bob was basically the 15th cast member. And then like Crystal Envy going home was shocking because she was doing so well. Like even the early outs were all amazing, amazing queens. The top 4 is insane. This is one of my favorite top 4s. They all are so different, but have brought so much to this season. And even like the mid outs, like Corey and Lydia and Ariete are iconic. Like everyone brought something to this season. Even I would say the most, I don't want to say forgettable. I want to see the one that the show didn't focus on at all. Acacia Forgot had so many fun moments, like her fight with Susie, like pulling a makeup brush out of her ass, like her incredible lip sync at the LaLaPaRuza. Like no one on this cast flopped. everyone brought something to the table. Everyone brought a different perspective. And I think that the chemistry between the cast was just insane. And that is, I think, what really truly is the number one make or break of a season is, does the cast have chemistry? Because the runways are one thing, the lip syncs are one thing, the challenges, sure. But you have to sit with these queens week after week after week and like be with them in the workroom and be with them in walkthroughs and all of this. And if there's no chemistry between them, that whole part of the show is going to be very, very boring, and it will bring down the vibes of the season very quickly. And this cast had so many funny moments together. I could watch them in the workroom for hours and never get bored. So I think this cast should pat themselves on the back for giving amazing television, amazing fights, amazing drama, as well as showing who they are and telling their stories and sharing important messages that the community needs to hear, as well as just, you know, random other people that watch that need to hear about our community. So I would say 10 out of 10 cast. And I say even last year, like last year's cast was a 10 out of 10 too. So whoever is casting this show, you are doing a fantastic job. My number 3 worst part of the season was the challenges. And not just necessarily the challenges themselves, but the order of the challenges, the types of challenges. It was just kind of wonky throughout because this season had almost no performance challenges. For performance challenges, we got the Rusical and we got the talent show, and that was literally it. And everything else was either comedy or looks. And I feel like a remix was needed on this season, like a girl group. Like, didn't even need to have both, one or the other. I really think we could have used that to break up some of these comedy challenges, especially because comedy wasn't, like, this isn't like the funniest cast I've ever seen in my life. They weren't delivering like top tier Snatch Game, top tier, you know, roast material. They were fine. They could hold their own in comedy, but this wasn't like the most funny cast where you would want to throw them 90% comedy challenges. Also, the order of the challenges was weird because we had Snatch Game at 11, we had the Rusical at 10, we had the Roast at 8, and when there's this many people left in those challenges, you just can't focus on everyone, and people are gonna be, you know, left to the side. Like the roast. Some girls got like 2 minutes to roast, some people got 30 seconds to roast. The Rusical, there were just some parts that were never gonna win because they were not main character roles. And Snatch Game, basically half the cast we got to see maybe one answer out of. It was very bare bones. I truly think Snatch Game is perfect at 8, Roast is perfect at 6, Rusical is perfect at 7. Like, the less queens, the better for those big, important challenges, because then you can really show how everybody did, and you don't have to just show the highlights of the people in the top and the bottom and everyone else, fuck you. And I would say that the challenges this year, there were definitely some good ones. I like the Monopoly design. I like the Betsy Johnson design. I thought the Sea Sickening Ball was fun. The look challenges were all great. The comedy were hit or miss. RDR Live, I love that challenge. And I think it can be like one of the best challenges, but they just need to have good writing. And the writing was 50-50. Part of it was great. Part of it was really bad. The Ross Matthews versus the Ducks was bad. The like comedy interpretive dance monologues was just a little confusing, like what the judges were looking for. So I would say the challenges were kind of a mixed bag. The order was actively bad, and the choice to have no performance challenges almost at all was really weird, especially because like sharing the music and the verses is something that people talk about for ages. Like that is how you keep everyone engaged in the show, is to give them a really good remix. Think about ASMR Lover. Like that's all anyone talked about for ages, and who really should have won or da-da-da. Like that is to become a staple of the show, and I definitely missed it this season. So the challenges for next year, I hope it's just a more even distribution of comedy, of performance, and of look. My number 2 favorite thing about this season is Untucked. Untucked, for the first time in literally years, was worth watching. They did so many like little things just to help improve it. One was giving them little cameras where they can like record themselves, or maybe they were just iPhones, where they could record themselves. And it led to so many just like cute moments of them like leading the charge of like making content. Like you would have Lana who would be like interviewing the girls, like, who's going home, bitch? Or like the queens would give themselves a pep talk right before the lip sync. I thought that was really, really fun, and it added like a cute little dynamic because it let like them be in control, which is always fun. Also, not every single judge went back to talk to the queens, which is great because I didn't know who half of these judges were. And like going back and like talking to it's just like, what's the point? Because probably most of those queens also don't know who they are. So, but you know, you had like Quinta Brunson go back. You had Sandra Berhart go back. Like the people that like really, Betsy Johnson, the people that like really you would want the queens to interact with all went back and got to talk to the queens. And everyone else just stay to themselves. We didn't have a Maude Apatow moment. And it really did feel like almost like a mixture of like newer seasons of Untucked, but mixed with the like seasons 7, 8, and 9, which are all on YouTube. Those like the YouTube ones. And I love those ones because it really is just kind of like relaxed. Like you're just like vibing with the queens. And I love watching those Untucked. Like if I'm like bored at night, sometimes I'll just be like, I'm just gonna put on season 9 Untucked because like why not? It's just like a vibe. And that was kind of it. Like there wasn't always a bunch of drama and stuff, but like just like getting to hang out with the queens and like hear their thoughts and things like that, and not have half the episode be some random celebrity or like a stupid game. Like it was just so much better. And as she looked forward to watching Untucked every week, and I feel like it really helped me get to know this cast a lot better. So loved Untucked, and it really was like if you're only getting half the story, because there was constantly stuff coming up in Untucked that they never focused on in the show. And it isn't just a clip show of what you already saw on the regular show, which is what the last few seasons have been like. So I hope Untucked stays like this for next season and for All Stars and all of it, because I really do think that they found a little sweet spot here. My number 2 worst thing of this season is the LaLaPaRuza. If you want to listen to this week's episode of the Rigged Recap, me and Kayla talked to Megami about it and get a lot of insight from her on like what made last year so good and like all the little things that they did to make sure that it was like the best episode it could be. But I don't know, this episode was just so lacking. I think because there was no audience. I think because the song choices were a little I think because this just isn't a cast of lip syncers. You know what I mean? Like season 16, I think it made total sense to do the LaLaPaRuza instead of the reunion, because there really wasn't much drama on that season that didn't involve Plain Jane. And that was one of the most consistent seasons of lip syncs we've seen ever, season 16. Like everyone was an incredible performer on that season. You know, even the early outs like Megami and Geneva and Hershey and Mirage. Whereas this season, the lip syncs weren't the best, but there was a lot of drama. So I would have much preferred to see a reunion than a LaLaPaRuza with this particular season. Because it just felt like there was a lot of stuff that like wasn't fully tied up, like especially with Arietti and Jules and Arietti and Anya. We could have delved more into the Susie and Lexi, and where they're at now. Corey and Hormona, Acacia and Susie. Like there was just a lot of kind of like ill will towards each other on this cast, and I feel like a reunion could have really been fun, especially because this cast also was fine with bringing the drama and was like willing to go there. The LaLaPaRuza was bland. I was bored, and it was a disappointment, especially after how great the last year's LaLaPaRuza was. So I would have just much preferred a reunion, to be honest with you. Now, that leads me to my number 1 favorite thing about season 17, and it is the storylines. I feel like the storytelling on this season is so good. And they were really able to make sure that every queen had some type of story arc. We understood exactly where Lucky was coming from and why they were there to fight to support their family, and that's why it like hurt even more when Lucky went home first. Hormona was obviously like really rubbing people the wrong way, and it was fun to see her just kind of like be a little troll about that. Obviously we have Corey and Lydia. Susie and Lexi is one of the best storylines in Drag Race history. I thought it was told so well, and we really got to see where both sides were coming from, and by both sides I mean Susie standing there doing nothing and Lexi like losing her mind over it. The Jules and Arietti friendship that then turned into like frenemies and enemies and that whole drama. I truly feel like every queen was given so much time and care in the edit, and we really got to know everybody except Acacia. But, you know, as an editor, like it is hard to like keep track of all of the storylines going on and make sure that everyone has their time and every story feels fleshed out. And I think the editors did a fantastic job of really balancing all the plot lines, making sure everything had its dividends in the end. Every storyline was wrapped up. And even in this last episode, the LaLaPaRuza, the first section was just kind of like wrapping up every last storyline now that it's been like a year since they filmed. And I thought it was just done perfectly. So great job to the editors. I hope they get some Emmy nominees for editing because I truly thought the edit was spot on this season. And it was really great to watch and fun to follow every week. And I was obviously doing the Edgic every week on my Instagram because it was just like so interesting to see what these queen storylines were going to be every single week. And as you saw, most of the people who made it to the end all were like complex personalities in the edit, which is what I really like am looking for in a final edit of a show. If everyone is just like middle of the road or, not really given much, that's not great to me, but this was not that kind of season. So great job, editors. And now for my least favorite part, what I think is the worst part of season 17. I think the lip syncs this season were pretty bad. We started off okay with the Women's World lip sync and the Alter Ego lip sync. Those are two of probably the best lip syncs on this season. But quickly things shifted with Yes and, with Acacia and Hormona. And that kind of set the tone for what the rest of the lip syncs this season would be, which was, that was the worst, but it never really picked up from there, except for a couple lip syncs here and there. Obviously, anyone with Lydia in it was great. Sam versus Lana was great. Jules versus Anya was great. But so many of the lip syncs this season were just kind of forgettable. And it was sad because we had some really great songs, like we had Buttons, we had some Paula Abdul, we had some Kim Petras. I thought the song choices were great. I just don't think this cast was the best when it came to lip syncs on this specific season. Not saying they're bad performers, just what they were giving in the lip syncs was not exactly what we were hoping for, especially after season 16, which was so good with the lip syncs. And unfortunately, that's kind of the climax of every episode. You want a really good lip sync to really finish the episode with a bang. And so many weeks, I'd be at the bar with all my friends just that was fine. That was fine. I don't really think anyone was a lip sync assassin this season. I think we had some lip sync survivors. The closest thing probably to an assassin was Lydia, but then we saw her last lip sync, so maybe assassin isn't the correct term for her, but I think lip syncs are one of the most important aspects of the show, and I do unfortunately think when there's a consistent lack of great ones, it does kind of bring the season down a bit. And I think everything else that I mentioned is the worst parts of the season. They're not that bad. The LaLaPaRuza wasn't unwatchable. The challenges weren't the worst we've ever seen. The lip syncs, however, I think were consistently disappointing, and that's why I think it is the worst part of this season. But I want to know what you think. What is your favorite and least favorite moments or aspects of this season? We have one episode left, the grand finale, and I'm hoping this season ends on a positive note. Not just Anya winning, but I hope the performances are great. I hope the final lip sync is good. I hope the whole thing isn't a drag. But I'm excited to see Liza Minnelli. I'm excited to see, hopefully, Anya Nerve take home the crown to Cleveland. I can't even tell you how excited that would make me and how incredible that would be for our city. So, Anya, you have done incredible all season long. Whether you win or whether you lose, you did us so proud. And dare I say, Anya might be the best part of this season because she brought the drama. We had Trimgate, we had Spray Paint Gate. She was fighting bitches left and right. She was winning challenges left and right. She was so funny, she was so charismatic, and she gave us some great looks as well. I think Anya Nerve is the MVP of season 17, whether she wins or she loses. And maybe that's my Cleveland bias, but that is simply how I feel. So I'm very excited to see how the season ends. And you can send your condolences to me on Instagram if Anya does lose. I will be watching live with Black Boy and a bunch of my friends, so it's going to be a very fun night regardless. And you know what? I'll just get drunk if she loses, but I'll probably get drunk if she wins too, so whatever. Thank you everyone for watching this video. The links to all of my social media are in the description down below. Make sure you're listening to the Rigged Recap where myself and Kayla Says break down every episode of the season with some special guests. Last week we had Megami. This upcoming week we have somebody else who's very, very exciting. So there's a lot going on as we're about to enter All-Stars territory now after this. So we have a summer of probably craziness ahead of us as we fall into fascism. So I'm just gonna keep making videos about my fun gay show on television and hope someone does something. Hey, Democrats in office, you should do something. Please, I'm scared. That is all, and I'll catch you all in the next one.